بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله يحب التوابين ويحب المتطهرين صدق الله العلي العظيم. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم الطهور شطر الإيمان رواه مسلم وكما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Honorable friends, my dear respected elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I begin with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise Him, glorify Him, our Lord, Rabbul Alameen, and may His choicest peace, blessings and salutations be on our beloved Master, Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, on His beloved family, His wives, mutahharat, our mothers, and all of the Sahaba, and those who will follow them in their footsteps to their Qiyamah. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Respected brothers and sisters, I felt for the topic of today's discussion, since we are about 4 Jumu'ahs away from Ramadan, how can a person prepare for the month of Ramadan? In general, if we look at the perspective of preparation for a salah, one salah, right? Not even a large event, just a basic salah. How much of preparation was done to perfect that salah with regards to the step-by-step process of cleansing oneself through wudu and tahara. So, in short, the summary of what I want to talk about today is the thing which we take most neglected is the concept of opening the salah, which is the manner and the method and the importance of doing wudu properly. At the same time, what is the Islamic perspective with regards to hygiene and tahara? The ayah I quoted in Surah Al-Baqarah verse 222, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ التَّوَّابِينَ وَيُحِبُّ الْمُتَطَهِّرِينَ, a dua which we recite after doing wudu. That indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves those who tawwab means somebody who often keeps returning back to Allah, constantly makes tawbah, makes a mistake, does tawbah again, doesn't give up, nor is the door of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala closed. So Allah loves those who constantly keep turning back and forth to Him. At the same time, وَيُحِبُّ الْمُتَطَهِّرِينَ, and He loves those who purify themselves and stay clean. So Allah loves those who are clean, hygienic. The hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at-tuhuru shatrul iman. Everybody knows the hadith that cleanliness is half of one's faith. And we find, inshallah, maybe in the course of my coming to the community over here, maybe the next month, before Ramadan, I will be focusing more on Ramadan preparation. But again, when we talk of preparation and being clean, look at the ahadith of Rasulullah ﷺ on how a person has to conduct him and herself in the bathroom. For relieving oneself, the call of nature, there's a step-by-step process mentioned in the Sunnah. How a person should enter, how you exit, which foot you enter, which foot you exit, which dua you say when you're going in, which dua you say when you exit, right? A person leaves the bathroom with a dua seeking Allah's forgiveness and maghfirah. غُفْرَانَكَ Alhamdulillah. Oh Allah, forgive me, your forgiveness is what I seek. Alhamdulillah, all praises for Allah. الَّذِي أَذْهَبَ عَنِّي الْأَذَى وَعَافَانِي, the one who has removed from me all difficulties and given me afiyah and relief. That even at that moment of what we might think of to be minute, or a procedure, or a just routine, we are reminded that even that, so ulama said, the scholars of hadith debated and said, why must a person say, غُفْرَانَكَ, Allah, I seek a maghfirah, immediately after leaving the bathroom? So they said unanimously that the duration of time a person was answering the call of nature, that duration of time he or she is not allowed to remember Allah. It's prohibited to make dhikr or remember Allah in that situation. So when a person leaves that situation in that bathroom, we're asking Allah for that duration of time which I could not remember you. Allah, I seek your forgiveness. Such is the tawwab, the attitude of a believer constantly turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, if we look at the ahadith, Rasulullah mentioned a step-by-step process of the bathroom. How a person cleans oneself, istinja. Right? So some hypocrites used to mock the early Sahaba and say, how is it that these kind of things are even taught? How you must wash yourself. They said he is like a loving father to us who makes sure that we do everything correctly. So, respected brothers and sisters, why don't we go into the Quran? And a few ayat I wanted to discuss. So let's talk of the official ayah of wudu. We spoke of hygiene and being clean, but for our salah and the rituals, there's a concept of wudu. Let's talk about that. Surah Al-Ma'idah, Surah number 5, verse number 6. There is a mention of the fara'id and the obligatory aspects of wudu. Surah Al-Nisa, verse 43, there is a concession ayah. An ayah which talks about if you can't do wudu because of 4 instances, then what do we do? Tayammum. So ayat of tayammum, verse 43, Surah Al-Nisa. Ayat al-wudu, verse 6, Surah Al-Ma'idah. Both of these ayats have a repetition of tayammum in them. So tayammum as a concession to this ummah, which I will touch upon later. Tayammum as a concession because of Allah's love for making things easy for the followers of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Allah revealed the same ayah twice exactly the same, with one word difference. So if we say, what is the ayat of wudu? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا, O those who have believed, or you who have believed, since you claim iman, since you claim to be the followers of Muhammad. So the request is from you. إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة, when you rise up towards the fulfillment of salah. When you rise up, this can be from your sleep. Rising up means a person is getting ready for salah in general. Then you have to wash thoroughly and do the following 4 things. So if you look at the literal translation so far, when you stand towards prayer, the Sahaba and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, another ease for us. Our beloved Sahaba and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for a long period of time, used to make wudu as an obligatory act for every salah. Even if they had wudu, they used to. It was an obligation, fard, to make wudu for the next salah. We don't have to do that. Right? If a person has wudu, you can do the next salah. And our children, mashallah, they have a 24-hour wudu, so it never breaks. So a person is not obligated to make wudu again. But based on the literal ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, whenever you stand up for salah, you should go and make wudu. Let me explain this portion quickly. The jawaz and the permissibility is found in the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the Tabi'i, Sulaiman bin Buraidah, says from his father, Buraidah. The hadith is in Ibn Majah. He says that we always observe the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam making wudu for every salah. And this was our practice. Until the day of conquest of Makkah, when we were all around the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we helped him make the wudu, and then we done his salah. And then the Prophet ﷺ for the rest of the salawat, فَصَلَّى الصَّلَوَاتِ بِوُضُوءٍ وَاحِدٍ. He done all of the rest of the day's salat with that same wudu, did not make another wudu. Sayyidina Umar said, Ya Rasulullah, something new which we saw today. He said, عَمَدًا فَعَلْتُهُ Ya Umar. I done this intentionally to show you all that for my ummah after this, there's only ease in this. You don't have to make it again if you already have the wudu. Let's go back to the verse. So when you stand up towards salah, فَغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ, so these are regarded to be the obligatory aspects of wudu. The Quran, in essence, always touches upon only the obligations of the basics. Salah, the basics. Wudu, basics. Where are we going to find the step-by-step A to Z method and formula? The Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We learn from the Sunnah of the Hadith. There are 13 Sunnah of wudu. In this ayah, there are only 4 things mentioned. Right? So 4 things means, at least for the completion of a wudu, we have to do this. فَغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ So wash your faces properly. So the whole face has to be washed. This is the first part. Again, we start wudu with washing your hands, we gargle our mouth and the nose, then we come to the face. The Quran is touching on the obligation. Wash your faces thoroughly. That's fard. وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ, and your forearms, including the elbow. So when we're doing wudu, usually we do it haphazardly or fast, and the obligation is that the elbow has to be included in the washing. It's not to the elbow. It's including the elbow. So forearms, including the elbow, fard. وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ. So we have two things washed so far. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, make masah and wipe over your heads. So wiping over one's head, right? The ulama and the fuqaha and the different madahib of different opinions. Must it be a quarter of the head, half the head, full head? At least there should be some masah, right? So masah of the head. This is fard. And the last part, وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ, and the feet, again, not till the ankles, including the ankles. Including the ankles. Respected brothers and sisters, we have to be very, very vigilant when it comes to the completion of the fara'id of wudu. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying include this, it has to be included. Many times we don't wash our feet, thoroughly. Allah subhanahu in the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he noticed certain people were not washing their feet properly. And he said, Waylun, waylun lil a'qab. Woe unto those ankles which are being left dry. Now, we talk of concessions, and you make masala on the socks, and khuffain. I want everybody to put that masala somewhere else. Don't even look at it right now. I want you just to think about the verse which I quoted. The ayah says explicitly, without a mention of a concession, the concession of making masah on the socks, etc., is found in the sunnah under very stringent traveling or other conditions. Some other time we can discuss that. I want you to focus on the literal words, and that is wash your feet thoroughly. The concession is a worst case. So if I'm in a seating, in a situation where I can easily wash my feet, I should follow the ayah. If I'm in a situation where I'm traveling or at work and it's really difficult, that is a time for concession. We cannot make our usual time, our leisure time, as a time for concession. Sharia's concessions are for worst case scenarios. This is very, very important. So coming back to the ayah, wash the feet including the ankles. وَإِن كُنْتُمْ جُنُبًا فَطَهَّرُوا. And if you are in the state of janaba, janaba means a state of ritual impurity, a state which requires a proper ghusl and bath. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, if that scenario took place, let a person not delay and stay in that situation. فَطَهَّرُوا. It's part of human nature, but at the same time, cleanse and purify yourself quickly and come out of the situation. Janaba literally means to be far away. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used the word called far away in that instance, because at that moment of not being in tahara, a person is far away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. So a person has to quickly take a bath and get out of that situation. Now I want to pause over here in the middle of the ayah, because the next portion of the ayah talks of tayammum. And as I mentioned earlier, this is the second verse of tayammum. Tayammum is revealed twice. So what is the actual verse of tayammum? Surah An-Nisa verse 43. Let's talk of that ayah. I want to add everything so we have a system in place that Sharia has made things so simple, so easy, that at least these four parts, worst case scenario, if a person is getting late for a salah to become qada, or an emergency situation, you have to do salah quickly, we are permitted to do the four fard of wudu. Just washing the face, washing the arms, masah quickly, washing the feet. Not doing the rest of the 13 sunnah, because that is proven from the ayah, right, which I quoted. Again, is that the usual day-to-day schedule? No. That is a concession for the worst case scenario. The ayah of tayammum is fascinating from different angles. Verse 43, Surah An-Nisa. I want you to look at the words. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, لا تقربوا الصلاة وأنتم سكارى. O you who have believed, don't come and approach salah whilst you are in a state of intoxication. You see, there's a different subject matter here. Don't come close to salah whilst you are in a state of nasha, intoxication. حتى تعلموا ما تقولون, until you know what you are saying, until you are sober. Now, what does this mean? We're talking of tayammum. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, don't go too close to salah if you are in a state of intoxication. This is called the step-by-step prohibition of wine and intoxicants in the Quran. And this is the hikmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He did not impose a legislation of prohibition in the Sunnah and in the Quran at once. Everything came as a gradual state. So people's tabi'ah, people's mizaj and nature got welcomed into Sharia, made a system and habit of staying away from naturally despised and disliked things, and then when they got used to it, then the ayat of hurma came. So sharab and khamr, intoxicants of all kinds, were made officially prohibited in 3 stages. The first stage is in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 219, and then Surah Al-Nisa, the ayat of tayammum, verse 43. And then Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 90, 91, 92, 93. These are the step-by-step verses of prohibition. I'm adding them to the discussion so we realize the hikmah and the wisdom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala utilizes for our well-being. And when we give da'wah and we call other people to deen, or even within our own settings, when we encourage people, our approach is very rigid. Our approach is very harsh. Our approach is lacking wisdom. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us that this systematic approach is the best way so people can easily adapt and adopt. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, verse 219, Surah Al-Baqarah, after the hijrah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to Medina Munawwarah, the people asked, so let it be clear, majority of the Muslims and the Sahaba naturally stayed away from the intoxicants. A group of them did not, because it was not yet haram. So the question came to the Prophet ﷺ for the fatwa. What is the fatwa regarding gambling and intoxicants, khamr? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answered in the ayah saying that there's lots of sin in these things. فِيهِمَا إِثْمٌ كَبِيرٌ. There's a great sin in this. And then He also left it a little bit open, saying that some people are buying and selling and they have certain transactions based on these dealings. There is some outward benefit. But remember, وَإِثْمُهُمَا أَكْبَرُ مِنْ نَفْعِهِمَا. The sins are greater than any kind of benefit which you see. And that discussion ended. So some people were still consuming it until verse 43 was revealed. The one I quoted to you. The one I quoted says, do not approach salah while you are intoxicated. So a group of people had gathered for food. And somebody had consumed wine. And the group of people, they had drank. It is time for salah, they say it was Maghrib salah. And somebody led the salah in the state of intoxication, made some major errors, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed a harsher response and said, La taqrabu salah, don't come near the salah if you are in this state until you sober. This is the backdrop of this verse. While we are talking of this, Sayyidina Umar and Sahaba were saying, Ya Allah, Allahumma bayyin lana fil khamri bayanan shafiya. Ya Allah, give us a clearer indication that this is something which we should all openly stay away from, until verse number 90 was revealed. And let me talk about that verse and come back to that more. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in verse number 90, Surah Al-Ma'idah, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu innama al-khamru wal-maysiru wal-ansabu wal-azlamu. 4 things. Rijsun min amal al-shaytan. Or you who have believed, these intoxicants. And again, I keep using the word intoxicant. I'm not saying wine. Because intoxicants, especially in our culture right now, are of various kinds. Especially through the legalization of marijuana, right? And that's another debate. But just on the surface, this ayah suffices because the word encompasses all kinds of intoxicants. إنما الخمر والميسر, gambling of all sorts, lotteries. والأنصاب, in the Quraysh time they used to sacrifice animals on these stone altars in front of different deities, right? And you find ancient civilizations doing this sacrificial animals on stone altars. So the Quraysh used to do it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, there's no more making zabah and udhiyah for anything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wal-azlam, and divining arrows. Azlam was a system. Sounds comedic, but just for the sake of explanation, they used to have 3 arrows. Everybody used to keep 3 arrows, wooden arrows. And on one arrow they used to say, if'al, they wrote, they're doomed. Another arrow they said, la taf'al, don't do. And the third arrow they used to leave it blank. So they used to keep these 3 arrows, and they used to divide them in the name of their deities in Makkah. So whenever they wanted to do something big, go on a journey, make a transaction, they wanted divine help. So they used to scramble these arrows, and then they used to pick it up in the name of the deity. And if it said, go ahead, they used to go ahead. If it said, don't, they used to see it as a divine sign. And if it had nothing coming out, they used to do it all over again. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, this system is from shirk. For us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given us a beautiful replacement of that, and that is Salatul Istikhara. Salatul Istikhara, inshallah, time permitting some other time, but you can look it up, is the best way for us to connect before making big decisions in our life. So these 4 things in this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Rijsun, these are defilement min amali shaitan, from the works of the devil. And this is the consensus in all of the revealed religions of the world. That these are all, there's a consensus that these are defilement from the works of shaitan. فَاجْتَنِبُوهُ, stay away from it, لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ, so that you will be successful. Time is short, I'm just going to wrap the conversation with tayammum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it was in the 6th year of Hijrah, during the battle of expedition of Bani Mustaliq, that Bani Mustaliq was a sub-clan of Khuza'a, and they were an ally of the Quraysh. Prophet ﷺ and the Muslims marched towards that tribe, and there was a battle by which the Muslims were victorious. On the backdrop and after that Ghazwa is known as Ghazwa al-Muraysiyah in Islamic Sirah. On the way back, our mother Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she says that we were on our way back, and I lost the hadith in Muslim. I lost one of my necklace, or I lost a necklace which I had. And I complained to the Prophet ﷺ that I can't find it. So Prophet ﷺ halted the caravan and everybody and said, help in finding her necklace. So everybody halted. They were at a place where there was no water. لَيْسُوا عَلَى مَاءٍ وَلَيْسَ مَعَهُمْ مَاءٌ. Nor did they have water with them, nor was there a watering place nearby. As a result of this, certain people were disturbed and they got upset. They came to Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha's father, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu. They said, don't you see what your daughter has done? He said, what are you talking about? They said, she has stopped everybody, and we want to go and talk to her. So she says, my father came to me while the Prophet ﷺ's head Mubarak ﷺ was on my lap and he was taking a nap. So Abu Bakr, my father, entered really upset with me and said, what are you doing? Why have you stopped everybody over here? Forget about this necklace. The ummah is waiting and you should look at the larger picture. And he started poking me, she said. He started poking me like a father to his young daughter. And she says, out of the respect of the Prophet ﷺ, I do not want to move, so I do not want to disturb his sleep. And then Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu left the tent. Later on she says, Rasulullah ﷺ got up before dawn and he wanted to make wudu, to do his salah. There was no water. At that moment this verse was revealed. Verse number 43. And this is the ayat of tayammum. This is another concession for us. وَإِن كُنْتُمْ مَرْضَى. Four concessions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and this applies to all of us. وَإِن كُنْتُمْ مَرْضَى وَعَلَى سَفَرٍ أَوْ جَاءَ أَحَدٌ مِنْكُمْ مِنَ الْغَائِطِ أَوْ لَمَسْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ. Instances where you need to make wudu or ghusl. If you are sick, What is the fiqh ruling of jurisprudence behind a sickness? If a person is sick, by which using water is going to make the recovery process longer and more injurious to one's health, then this sickness qualifies as a concession for not using water. A person must just make tayammum. That is the sickness. But if the sickness is such where water is fine, tayammum is not permitted. Or ala safar, or you're traveling and there's no water. Or you came from the call of nature after using the bathroom, relieving oneself. Or lamastum nisa, or after marital relations. In any of these instances, if you pursued water, if you went to find water, right? You can't just say, I'm just going to make tayammum. فَلَمْ تَجِدُوا مَاءً. So precise. If you don't find water after looking for it, فَتَيَمَّمُوا. Then go ahead and use pure earth, sand, whichever it will be. صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا. And what is the manner of tayammum? Let me just explain. فَامْسَحُوا بِوُجُوهِكُمْ وَأَيْدِيكُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says the manner of tayammum is just, so what should we use for tayammum? Clay, dust which accumulates over bricks or stones, dust which accumulates, and that you just strike your hand on it once or twice, right, like that, and you just do the face once, and you do it again, and do the right arm until the elbow, right, one, and the second time to the left elbow. Tayammum is done. No feet, no masah, just the face and the arms. So imagine how easy it is if a person has to fulfill salah in any of those instances and water is not found. So what do you mean by not finding water? It means within a radius of 1 mile. A radius of 1 mile, there's no water, a person should make tayammum. Similarly, you cannot use dust which has accumulated on metal, glass, that kind of stuff. Water which is available in the form of flowing water, or tap water, or rainwater, water which melts from ice or snow. All of this water is regarded to be proper water, which is not a concession for tayammum. Now, the completion of the verse of Surah Al-Ma'idah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that this tayammum which we have given you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's followers, we have not given to anybody else. In the past nations, washing oneself was the only way. And if you do not wash yourself, the qada of one's prayer, the penalty for that was larger. So it was very difficult. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, مَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيَجْعَلَ عَلَيْكُمْ مِنْ حَرَجٍ. Allah does not want to impose any difficulty on you, O followers of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What does He want? وَلَكِنْ يُرِيدُ لِيُطَهِّرَكُمْ. He wants to purify you, constantly finding ways to keep you clean. وَلِيُتِمَّ نِعْمَتَهُ عَلَيْكُمْ. He wants to fulfill His bounties upon you because you are the followers of His Habib sallallahu alaihi wasallam. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. So that you give shukr and be thankful for these concessions. So to summarize, in Islamic legislation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed prohibitions and commandments in the Quran in order to bring about a spiritual reformation and rectification of one's body, mind, heart and soul. For this enactment of laws, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala further kept in mind 4 basic principles. 4 basic principles are kept in mind for our ease. The first one is removal of unnecessary difficulties. You found that in wudu through tayammum. Even if a person was in the need of ghusl, but any of those instances water was not found, tayammum will suffice to take a person out of that situation. So salah should carry on. That's why Rasulullah said, وَأُعْطِيتُ خَمْسًا لَمْ يُعْطَهُنَّ أَحَدٌ قَبْلِي. I've been given 5 specific bounties which nobody has been given before me. And from those 5, he mentioned, وَجُعِلَتْ لِي الْأَرْضُ طَهُورًا وَمَسْجِدًا. The earth has been made my purifier as well as my masjid. So فَأَيُّمَا رَجُلٌ وَرَجُلٍ مِّنْ أُمَّتِي. Any person of my ummah, أَدْرَكَتْهُ الصَّلَاةِ. If the time of salah has approached, he and she have no excuse. فَلْيُصَلِّ. Let them stand and do the salah. Why? فَإِنَّمَا عِنْدَهُ طَهُورُهُ وَمَسْجِدُهُ. My ummati, my follower, has at his and her disposal the purifier, water, or the earth, as well as the masjid, meaning they can do salah any and everywhere. So Allah has made this. So what are the 4 principles? Removal of unnecessary difficulty. You look at verses in the Quran. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah doesn't burden a soul except with what's within His own capacity. Ramadan is coming near. We will read شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. The verses of Ramadan and fasting are mentioned. Immediately after mentioning fasting, Allah subhanahu focuses on concessions. فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. If you happen to be, witnessing Ramadan, then fast. But وَمَنْ كَانَ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ. If you're sick, you're traveling, no problem. Concessions. فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرَ. At the end of these verses, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. Allah intends ease. Allah does not want to make difficulty. That's the first principle. Second principle is reduction of religious obligations. The third one is realization of public welfare. And the fourth is realization of universal justice. Inshallah, that topic is for another time. Based on what has been discussed, we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the tawfiq and ability to appreciate the legacy of Rasulullah which we are taught. Today is the 27th of Rajab, regarded to be historically from the night of the Isra wal Mi'raj. And look at the gifts of Isra wal Mi'raj, we look at Salah to be the biggest gift. And Salah is connected to all of these concessions as well as obligations which we are taught. So may Allah make us from those who are adherent to His teachings and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastahdihi wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi. ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له نشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات وبارك عليه وعلى أزواجه الطيبات الطاهرات وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله العلي العظيم يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون